Hello everyone, welcome back. This is Ethan7878, and, well, how was that for an intro? I really hoped you enjoyed it. I hope it got you all psyched up for this exciting battle we have here, because it is a very exciting battle. I'm here in my Fletcher, and the map is Okinawa, a map very disliked by many cruisers around the server. But for destroyers, it's not too bad. Now, you'll notice that the enemy team is committing a lot of forces to go to A. And that is commonly regarded as a mistake because, well, A is isolated by that big island between it and B. However, if the team can manage to not get caught up in there and not hide behind the island and actually push south, the strategy can more or less work. And we're going to see some of that in this battle. Now, I did spawn in the center of the map, but I decided to go to C, assuming that my team was going to go for a B-C strategy and I would be more useful at C. However, the enemy team completely abandoned C, so now I have to go and chase them as they head north. There's a few ships in front of me. I'm not going to open fire because I don't want to get spotted. And random torpedoes, I think those are from the Otago, but they're easily dodged. I think that was a widespread anyway. So, what can I say about the Fletcher? Well, it's one of my favorite destroyers. It's a Tier 9 American tech tree destroyer, as opposed to the Black, which is the reward ship for ranked. And it has 2 sets of 5 torpedoes that go to 10.5 kilometers, do a really good amount of damage, and they're pretty fast too. In many ways, the torpedoes are on par with those of the Japanese ships. Now, they reload very quickly. I have my reload down to about 80 seconds with commander skills and the reload module you get at Tier 9. And I prefer that over the gun module because, well, the gun reload is already very good. You have 5 5-inch guns that reload in about 3 seconds, and you can get that down with Adrenaline Rush or basic firing training, etc. So all in all, very, very strong ship. I did fire these torpedoes at the Otago, and the gearing popped up so they might have hit him, but both of them were able to dodge it. And the Otago is actually coming under fire from a bunch of different ships. He's showing his side, and I figure, oh, I should help out and finish off the kill, but right as I shoot, the Otago is finished off, and now I'm spotted all of a sudden. There is a gearing. I decide to open up on him, and this is why it's important to pull your camera back in between every salvo, even with a destroyer. Because, well, there are maybe torpedoes in the water. And if you aren't careful, you're going to eat one. Now, I'm pulling up into the Shima's smoke, and that Shima just barely avoids that torpedo. And unfortunately, I do bump into him very briefly, and he is pink, probably from a previous game, so it does take a little bit of damage from that. But nevertheless, he's going to pull his weight this battle, that's for sure. Now, someone shot blind into the smoke and hit me and knocked out my engine and one of my turrets. I'm not going to waste my repair on that, because I figure I should probably keep it handy. And, well, it's not like I'm really missing out on any damage. So just waiting for my engine to come back up online, and then I'm going to go help out in B. Now, they do have a gearing and a Z52 that were spotted in there, so I should really be careful because the Z52, remember, has a 6-kilometer hydro, just like the German cruisers. So he can spot you from within his own smoke and happily gun you down, and you can't do anything about it. So, back up to full functionality, just missing a little bit of health. And I fire my torpedoes blind into that smoke, hoping to hit something. Because, well, smoke screens are torpedo magnets. Now, I'm going to take this, I'm going to go the long way around B, and maybe spot some of the cruisers as well that went up north. I do believe there was a Kutuzov right there, and that's his smoke screen that's starting to open up. And the Z52 is spotted. He's ambushing our Shima and our gearing around the side of that island, and he's going to be able to use his hydro to spot them even if they smoke up. And crap. A Bismarck spotter plane has just flown over me. Now what I should have done is pop my defensive AA consumable and take a hit to my concealment for a little bit and shoot down the plane. But I don't do that in the heat of the moment. It just completely skipped my mind. But now that the plane is out of range, that Z-52 is in Hydra range, so I'm still spotted nonetheless. And I'm just sailing back the other way, hoping not to get hit. And a gearing torpedo does find the Z-52 in his smokescreen, and he's dead. Now the gearing and Kutuzov still firing off a few shells at me, but overall I'm not too bad. Just down about 6,500 health, but everything else is fine. Now there is a cyclone in this match, and if you're not familiar with a cyclone, what it does is it's decided randomly 2 minutes into the match whether or not there will be one. And then it hits 5 minutes later, and it just gradually lowers your detection range and your view range to 8 kilometers. So it's very, it leads to a lot of brawling moves and just close quarter combat in general. So there's a lot of cruisers like the Japanese, for example, that don't do too well, and the Japanese battleships. But then you have your German battleships with a turtleback, and the massive array of secondaries who really do enjoy cyclones. So it's sort of half the population loves them, half the population hates them type thing. Now there is a smokescreen up there, and that was set by the other destroyer on the enemy team, the Harakaze, as the gearing is fleeing to the north into A. And I do get spotted by the Harakaze, and I open up on him right as a Shima torpedo finds him and kills him off. So now I'm spotted in front of 2 battleships and a cruiser. Never mind, make that 2 cruisers. So I'm going to turn into the smoke screen that the Shima laid, and the Yamato salvo coming in. This can really hurt if you take it wrong, but I only take 1 overpen. See, if a Yamato shell hits the length of your ship, it has enough distance to travel to actually arm and detonate inside your ship, and you're going to have a bad day. So I fire my torpedoes into that smoke screen that the Yamato is going to try and hide behind, because again, smoke screens are torpedo magnets, and it's always great when you fire some torpedoes into a smoke screen and manage to find a target. So the cyclone is now coming into full effect, 8 kilometer view range, and while our team is looking okay but not great, it's a 5 versus 8 situation, but we do have 2 of the capture points. We have B and C, as the enemy completely ignored them in the early part of the game. And I do manage to land a torpedo on probably the Yamato, and there's a gearing spotted. So I open up, but he can definitely outgun me, and there's not very much I can do. I'm hesitating on whether or not I should pop my smoke screen, because the Shima is too far. There's no friendly ships, including the Shima, who could spot him if I smoked up right now. I am doing quite a good amount of damage, but I hit around 6,000, and I realize it's not worth it. Time to slow down and pop my smoke screen. The gearing does stop hitting me at that point, because he would be firing blind. And I'm not sitting still on my smoke screen, because there's a good chance that the gearing will have launched torpedoes at me. And there he is again. But there's an Atago coming around the side of that island, where I just launched my torpedoes. And while I have the cover of my smoke screen, I decide to start opening up on the gearing because a Shimakaze is spotting him. And this gearing doesn't appear to be running last stand, which is a massive rule that you need to follow when you're playing destroyers. And a torpedo catches him because his engine was broken. And I catch a torpedo on the Atago. That's a double strike and a devastating strike on the Atago. And I'm detected, must be the New Orleans radar, because he is pushing into B. But pretty much when you get a destroyer, the second skill that you want to get on your captain is last stand, because, well, your modules break very easily. All it takes is a 8-inch high explosive shell into your ship, and you might lose your engine, might lose your steering, etc. That just makes it easier to stay alive, even if you do start taking damage. The New Orleans is pushing in to 2 battleships, and he is showing me his side, so I switch to armor piercing. and I managed to finish off the kill. If I'd been in a Russian destroyer, or Soviet destroyer rather, I probably would have finished them off faster because of their massively better shell velocity. But I do manage to cause enough damage to finish off the kill. And the Kurfürst is not looking too great. I'm slowing down on my smoke to start shooting at this rune coming up here. However, I overshoot a little bit, and I decide it's not worth it. Plus there's the Yamato I can launch torpedoes at. So, replay bug here, I'm actually aiming at the Yamato following his torpedo indicator. And that Kurfürst is probably not long for this world, so I have to finish off the rune for him. And he does go down right before the rune goes down, as I finish him off. Not quite a kill steal, more of a kill secure because, well, the rune wasn't on fire, and, well, someone had to kill him off because the Kurfürst was dead. I land 2 torpedoes on the Yamato, cause a flood, and at this point I'm desperately trying to set fire on him, but the North Carolina actually finishes him off. And suddenly the game is looking a little better for our team. And the enemy team is starting to freak out there. There's one player in particular who can't believe how badly his team has handled this situation. It's now down to a 3 versus 3, and we're in the lead by about 200 points. Well, 100 points. North Carolina got finished off by the Bismarck, and that leaves me to defend B and C all by myself. Ashima did the smart thing and went up to A to capture it, securing our team even more points. And now all I have to do is just defend or fend off these 2 ships, the Kutuzov and the Bismarck. Judging by the Baltimore's last known position, I think he's going to go capture C, so I don't have to worry about him or his radar for the moment. And yeah, in fact, C does start getting captured, so I know exactly where the Baltimore is. And I know if I stay a fair distance away from C, I shouldn't be in range of his radar. I did launch a set of torps at the Kutuzov and a set of torps at the Bismarck. Looks like the Kutuzov managed to thread the needle because that was a very awkward angle. When they're bow on, they have a, it's not too hard to dodge. I do manage to get a torpedo on the Bismarck, even though it looked like he was doing his best to dodge them. And I'm just going to let them cap for a bit. But my plan is to smoke up and open fire and reset them and just delay their team even more. I do tell my Shima that the Bismarck repaired, and now that the Shima is close enough to maybe try and spot them, I pop my smoke screen and open up. I reset the Kutuzov, farming some base defense ribbons, and once I'm done with him, I start shooting at the Bismarck, and I do believe the Shima has launched torpedoes at the Bismarck at this point. But still, I want to farm some reset points. The first set of torpedoes off at the Kutuzov, and he is showing us broadside, so I switch to armor piercing, but right as I reload, he turns bow in, and I start bouncing shells, so I figure it's probably not worth it. Back to the high explosive. And he is taking blind shots into my smoke, and he is landing some occasional hits. The Bismarck is almost dead. Get another base defense ribbon. There are the Kutuzov's torpedoes. Careful of those. That would be a little embarrassing. Wouldn't want to hit one of those. And looks like the Cyclone is finally lifting. And the Kutuzov is charging into my smoke screen. But I'm just going to leave it. I'm not going to let him get within 2 kilometers or even 3 kilometers if he's running the acquisition mod. I'm going to keep my distance, and you'll notice I launched those torpedoes directly at him and not along the indicator line. And that's exactly why, because I expected him to turn in, and in fact if he had sailed in a straight line, for once that would have been better for him. Which leaves my team up by almost 400 points on the enemy team, and their last ship is a Baltimore, and as long as you don't get within his radar range of 9.5 kilometers, then we're pretty much fine. And I do let the Shima know this in chat. I say, don't get radared and we're okay. Stay outside of 9.6 kilometers, because the Baltimore has, I believe, 9.45 kilometer radar range. And the Baltimore is taking B, and I'm not going to contest that, because as soon as I step into the cap, he'll know that I'm nearby and I'll get spotted and most likely killed. So I'm just going to sail past him, and the Shima has the same idea, although the Shima is taking us very, very close. I expect the Baltimore to turn in towards my last known position and try and hunt me down, so I launch torpedoes along where he would be sailing in that case. But then he spots the Shimakaze's torpedoes and turns to dodge those, which means my torpedo salvo is going to miss completely. Well, that's no big deal. Again, as long as neither of us die, we have more than enough points, and I'm just going to speed things up here, as there's only 3 minutes left. Looking at my torpedoes, seeing if I can get a hit, and it's looking like he's going to dodge them just in time. However, there's not very much he can do at this point. His team does have 2 capture points, but I'm headed to sea. The Shima's going to go into B behind him, and, well, nothing happens from this point on. So there we go, I've just entered C. I'm going to start capturing it. Shima thinks of going to C, and then decides he's going to try and take B instead. I do compliment the Shima because he played smart, pulled his weight, and just overall good play from him. Not often you see a very good Shima player. Usually they just spam torps from max range, but this guy actually knew what he was doing. And the Baltimore tries in vain to capture A, but there's not going to be enough time for that. And he's just completely killed his chances of ever coming back. And it looks like, well, if the clock didn't tick out, we would have won this on points because we're at 977. Moving on now to the post-battle results. I think at this point I was running premium. I'd gotten a bunch of premium time from a super container. So nearly 500,000 credits, 10,000 experience, 2,000 free experience, and of course the awards, Devastating Strike, Double Strike, and Kraken, as well as some of the anniversary awards. I also caused 125,000 damage, assisted 2 base captures, and fully captured 1 base. Again, 5 kills and 11 defense ribbons, which are fantastic for farming experience. Now the team score, of course, speaking of farming experience, 2,500 base XP topped my team, and the Shima came second with just under 1,800, so not too bad for him either. Now the detailed report, as you can see, I did some damage to pretty much everyone that I saw. I did receive a fair amount of damage myself, but as long as I'm not dead, I'm still a very, very potent threat. Now I do play the Fletcher as sort of a hybrid gunboat, torpedo boat, as you may have noticed. And in this game, my torpedoes did 90,000 damage, which is unusually high. A lot of times you'll see more of an even split between your torpedoes and your guns. But in this case, only 31,000 for the guns. So, very heavily weighted towards the torpedoes. Finally, the credits and XP screen. The Tier 9 destroyer, or the Tier 9s in general, are very expensive to maintain, so I only made a profit of 300,000 credits. However, again, the XP, and with all my Commander XP flags, I managed to rake in a solid 36,000 experience. And that's all elite experience because my Commander is already at 19 points. So I hope you enjoyed my commentary on the Fletcher. Definitely one of my favorite ships in the game. And I'd be interested to see what you think of it. So if you liked the video, then make sure you hit the like button. If you want to see more of this, I have World of Warships videos every 2 weeks and programming videos every 2 weeks as well. So hit the subscribe button so you don't miss those. And if you have any feedback or comments, then leave those in the comments section. Anyway, I've been Ethan7878, and thank you for watching.